Thank you guys for joining me. So today we're talking about the principle of vibration from the Hermetic principles. I know that many of you have already been reading the book, The Kabbalion. Actually, let me bring it right here, just so we can have it. So the subject of this season, for many of you might not be aware, but towards the end of January, I have started what I called the Hermetic uINversity, which is a place where we can all get together and look within ourselves. It's not a place to learn what is going on in the outer world, but to learn who we truly are. Is a place of knowing thyself. I am a big student of the Hermetic philosophy. My journey for the past 5 years has been mostly guided by the Egyptian god Thoth. I've had encounters with him, and I've had visions, and I visited Egypt. I had been in Egypt when I was a 14 years old girl, and at that time my father worked there. So there's been some alchemy going on in the past 2 or 3 years related to the wisdom that ancient Egypt has to offer to each and every one of us, and it's been kept a secret for millennia. And one of the things that the Kabbalion tells you, that those with ears to hear, let them hear; those with minds to understand, let them understand; those with eyes to see, let them see. It also says, do not throw pearls before swine. Egypt is a place of healing, and it's a place of awakening within you the true frequencies of who you are meant to be in this existence, in this reality. And these teachings, that it's very, very important. And if you are drawn to Egypt, the Hermetic philosophy is for you. I highly recommend that you read. This is the basis. This is the beginning philosophy of the Hermetic science, the beginning lessons, let's say, because they are the 7 laws of the universe. It's like this. This is the user manual for a human being. When we come onto this planet, when we are born as in physical form, because we are never born in a sense. I'm desiring to go December 24th because that was my mom's birthday. Oh, that's cool. What do you think about Kabbalah? I started the Kabbalah in 2022. I started the Hermetic, not the Jewish Kabbalah, but the Hermetic Kabbalah, which is the original Kabbalah. The Jewish Kabbalah came after, although I know if you talk to Jewish people, they may say something completely different. But the Kabbalah is drawn from the Hermetic philosophy, and the Hermetic philosophy is ancient. It came into the world. So basically, this is the roots of all philosophies, and many religions in the world have taken guidance from this. Of course, they rebranded all the concepts. But the idea is, if you learn these 7 principles, the 7 laws of the universe, it's as if you are learning reading the user manual for a human being. Because you see, we're launched into this world as human beings without any rules, without any instructions. How do we do this? How do we do that? What happens when this? What happens when that? How do we bring things into our existence? We have no idea. We have no idea. We're just being thrown in, you see? And these are the laws. And because nowadays it is the age of Aquarius, it is the age of disclosure, the age of revealing of the truth, not only of who we are, but of the way we can operate once we know the truth. So not only that we understand who we are, but we understand the rules of the game. It's as if you're playing a game and you don't have the rules, if you don't know the principles. The book, you can purchase it on Amazon, or I'm not selling it. I'm not advertising it for sale. I mean, it would be nice, but I'm not good with all this technical stuff. So I'm not, what I'm doing here, I'm not doing for money, you guys. I'm doing it because I want to break every rule in the book. I'm breaking every rule in the book. Every classic old Hermeticist, every Kabbalist in the world will tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. But I have a question for them. If you think that what you're doing is right, how come that the world is not in a better place? So I decided to just doing everything different than that it's ever been done, you see? I decided that I'm going to go against the grain because everything is inverted in this freaking world, and I'm going to go the opposite direction. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I've been guided to do this. I am guided on a daily basis, and I'm doing it every single moment I can. Is the moon a soul trap? They are the genocider. How can we take them as masters? You don't have a master. You are the master. That's what I'm trying to inspire you guys to understand. There's a few steps before you understand it experientially, but you first have to understand it intellectually to understand where you're going. In other words, you're looking at a map. You see, if you look on a map and go, oh, okay, so I'm here now and I want to get here, and you see the map. Yeah, you see the road on the map. But you haven't gotten there. You haven't seen the road. You haven't seen the mountains. You haven't seen the rivers. You haven't seen the valleys. You haven't seen the dark places. You just know that you're here and you're going to get here. This is what I need you to understand first. And once you understand that, then it's going to start clicking one by one, one by one. Then the road has to happen one by one. Is it safe to astral project? Absolutely. I astral projected at the end of 2020 accidentally, and I wrote this book based on that story. This is my book. I published it at the end of December. You're more than welcome to purchase it on Amazon. It is shameless plug, of course, but why not? It's my life. This book is absolutely amazing. I channeled it in 2.5 months, was completely finished. I just had to do the formatting with people who I had to hire and all that. And I published it at the end of December. It has to do, in the end, the healing that I received from the Arcturian healers helped me heal my childhood traumas. And then the Arcturian healers helped me, taught me a technique that I can teach every single one of you on how you can heal your own childhood trauma without going to any therapist, psychotherapy, whatever their names are. I don't want to get in a bundle with them, but I'm just telling you, you can do it all by yourself by reading this book. After I ended up there, I learned about it, and recently is the treatment in the book. Yes, it is. You learn everything, how I got there, what happened there, the encounters that I had with a big blue bird named Bob. In fact, I have his image right here. You learn about my encounter with 5 Arcturian elders, the Council of Elders, and then you learn about the encounter I had with the 12 Arcturian healers, and then how they took me on Starship Athena, that was hovering over Andromeda, and they kept me from February to April. Every single week, at least 4 nights a week, we were working together, a minimum of 2, maybe 4 hours sometimes. It was exhausting, it was draining, but it was so healing and it was so liberating. The name of the book is Arcturian Healing. You're not going to be able to read it because it's backwards, but you can take a screenshot and maybe read it afterwards. But you can see it you can purchase it from me. You will pay a little bit more because I have to pay for shipping. And I'll send it to you signed, or you can purchase it on Amazon and you can get it. I think it's $13.69 on Amazon. And you can see it in my shop. Like if you go to my profile, you'll find it in my shop, or you can see it in my playlist called Books. And then you'll see because I think that it's very hard to read because we're on a live, so it shows it to you backwards. So Arcturian Healing, or just put my name in Amazon, Carmen Badan. I have another book that I published in 2019, but I had moved on from that stage of my life. So thank you so much. Thank you, Bad. Appreciate it. You bought it, right? You are reading it. You passed chapter 10. I remember now. Yes. These principles that are the first lessons, the first chapter of the Hermetic uINversity are the first rules of the game. Once we understand this, we're able to maneuver, we're able to navigate the matrix. Because in order to transcend the matrix, you have to first learn the matrix and navigate the matrix, and then transcend it. And then at the end of the curriculum that I have prepared for an entire year, we're going to be able to transcend the matrix. There's a few steps to get there, but this is the basis. It's very simple. If you go into my profile, for any of you that are new here today, if you go into my profile and go to the playlists, you will see all the videos that I have added to the playlist that belong to Hermetic uINversity. It's not uINversity, it's uINversity, because we're not looking out, we're looking in. We're not learning the world, we're learning ourselves, you see? And this title came from the Egyptian god Thoth. He came into a vision one day in a meditation, and I communicated with him and he gave me the title. Yes, I'm reading it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. I know that you reached out and told me that you were reading it, and that is absolutely great. And also in the book, I put, at the end of the book, I put 2 meditations. If you go to my YouTube page, those 2 meditations are there, and you can listen to them. You know, I'm speaking them, and there's some binaural beats in the background. Or you can just record the audios yourself and listen to your own voice if you prefer. But they are, during this healing, it's called Arcturian Healing Technique, AHT. During this healing, you will encounter 2 characters. One of them is your higher consciousness, and the other one is your inner child. And these 2 meditations are very important. They're crucial for you. Just one time to do them. You don't have to do them all the time. Just one time, so you make connection to your higher consciousness, and then you make connection to your inner child, so then you can actually do this this technique. Yes, I have passed chapter 10, nearly finished with the book. Bittersweet. Yes, it is. I know. Is this your book? Yes, Cree, this is my book. I wrote it last year. It was pretty much a channeled book, because I was not going to write this book. See, the character that you see here right now today is something that I've been creating because I wanted to have fun in life. I wanted to be the person that my inner child wanted to be, the little Carmenica, the little girl. Like, let's see, I'll show you a picture of my little girl. This is me right here as a little girl. You see, at 3.5 years old, I wanted to be playful. I had such an imagination. I played so much, and I was so into my own little world, but I wasn't allowed to do what I wanted to do. I was told, you got to do this because this is the career you have to go into, because this is what's going to make you money. This is that. You know, society, all programming, every single one of us were programmed in the exact same way. Maybe not in identical ways, but every one of us, our subconscious mind is littered with junk that comes from other people, and we need to get rid of all that if we want to liberate ourselves from this matrix. So as a child, I was a shaman myself. I was a shaman. So I named myself the moment I decided, well, I didn't decide, I was given this sort of directive to start this Hermetic uINversity, and I say, I'm going to nominate myself Hermetic, High Priestess of the Hermetic uINversity. So that's it. That's my title, and I'm showing up accordingly with rings, with necklaces, with earrings. You know, I mean, this is who I am. So this is basically who we want to be. But this is something that happened recently, where I allowed myself to just show up as who I want to be without caring what anybody else has to say. Because before I decided to write this book, which was August of last year, I thought I will never write this book, because if I do, people are going to think I'm crazy. So that happened in July, when I was in a meditation. I meditate a lot. I'm a big meditator. So I was in a meditation, and I was in the process of writing another book. I've been struggling with it for like 5 years. I had writer's block. I had changes in consciousness and all that stuff. And I was determined to finish that book last year. And then I go into a meditation and I receive guidance. You are going to write Arcturian Healing. And I was like, oh no. Because I knew that if I write Arcturian Healing, that means I have to come clean with these things that are completely out of the ordinary. I mean, I was a real estate broker, an investor, an engineer, none of this, thank you for the hearts, none of this, light worker, astral travel, going on a star, meeting aliens, none of it matched the character that I played until last August. And then one day I knew I had to do it, and I sat down and I did not stop writing for 45 days. I didn't write constantly for 45 days, but every day I wrote enough that the book was ready. And within 2.5 months the book cover was done. It was my design, well, my creation, in other words, as imagination, but I hired somebody on Upwork to do it. It's absolutely stunning. And so, but everything was, this is exactly what I saw when I got there. So I didn't make it up. This is not something that I'm like, oh, that would look nice. I saw it exactly like that. It's just, bureaucracy at the end. That in my mind took longer than writing it, but it was mostly a channeled work. So it's very powerful. It's very intense. You have some channeled information, channeled messages here from the Arcturian Council of Elders that are very inspirational, and they are very uplifting, and it tells you who you are. And the other thing I want to tell you is this, and this is what I know from the Arcturian Council of Elders. This book is written in code. Now, one thing we all have to know, and this is something that I learned from the Arcturian Elders, we all contained within, you've heard the expression that we are the ocean in a drop. Every single one of us are God, not God's God. God is in God energy, yes? So we contain all the information of the universe, all the intelligence of the universe, all the wisdom of the entire universe exists within us. It's a code. We are an algorithm. That's what we are. So every time you listen to certain songs, you read certain books, you listen to certain sacred script or certain whatever, it activates, or even just hear somebody speak like I speak to you right now. Some of the videos that you listen, that I put out on my profile on TikTok, if you go through comments, you will see people, you will see comments that say, you are helping me remember. I remember now. I feel like I remember, because the codes are being activated. When I speak in a way that I activate your code. And this whole book is code activation. So when you read it, it's going to feel like, yes, I know this. Like you're going to feel like you already know all these things that I speak about in here. This is not just about healing your inner child, healing your childhood traumas, your fears, your limitations. This is also about activating your code so that you can remember who you are. This is the hardest part in our life, to remember who we are. Ken just followed you. You want me to read you a little bit from it? How about this? What if I just open it somewhere and see where it opens, and we'll read it? Because everything is my favorite part. I wrote it. I channeled it. Okay, so I opened at chapter 9, and chapter 9 is, I love the number 9 too. It has 18 chapters, by the way. I didn't intend it, but it happened, which is it's a great omen. Chapter 9 is a journey beyond the veil of perception. So, it says, so I'm just going to kind of jump a little bit. After a few months of profound and transformative conversations with Bob is the bird, the big blue bird. It looked almost like the avatar bird. I came to a realization. I had yet to meet any of the Arcturian beings in person. While I had seen images of them online, beautiful bluish hominids with gentle loving faces, I had never encountered one in any of my trips to the Blue Star. I had glimpses where they lived, witnessed the breathtaking beauty of their realm, flew over their homes, but I didn't enter their spaces or connected with them directly. One day it dawned on me, maybe it was up to me. Maybe I was supposed to request that meeting. In the intergalactic realm, the principle of free will is paramount, a rule that is universally respected. No being, no matter how benevolent, can interfere in your life unless you invite them in. They can only interact with you if you ask for it or explicitly give your permission. It was then that I realized that the Arcturians might have been waiting for me to make the first move, for me to express my desire for that connection. I had spent so much time receiving guidance from Bob that I hadn't considered that the next step in my journey might require me to actively seek it out. Not that I was getting bored with my encounters with Bob, but my intuition was telling me that there is much more to the story than the two of us shooting the breeze in a rocky living room carved out of the side of a mountain with the most amazing view you can possibly imagine. One day, I finally asked Bob if I could meet any of the Arcturian hominids, and his response was very simple and profound. What would be the purpose of this meeting? For a moment, I froze, realizing I hadn't thought this through. It wasn't enough to just meet them. There had to be a reason, a purpose. I surely didn't want to waste their time. I told Bob I'd come up with a plan and I will return when I'm ready. It took a few days for me to really understand what I wanted from this encounter. The entire experience of visiting Arcturus was still so new, and I had no idea what questions were even appropriate to ask. But then it hit me. Since I was already on a personal healing journey, it made sense that I should ask for guidance on my physical, mental, and spiritual health. With this clarity, I also realized I probably needed to speak with a small group of leaders, elders perhaps, who could help guide me. I didn't know if they had brains in the way we understand, but I wanted to pick their brains, so to speak. On my next visit, I confidently told Bob I would like to meet with an Arcturian council, someone who can guide me on my journey towards better physical, mental, and spiritual health. Bob nodded as if this was the answer he's been waiting for and simply replied, "It shall be done. I will arrange for you to meet the Arcturian Council of Elders." Before I even had time to process what was happening, we were already soaring through the sky, heading towards a breathtaking building that floated above the clouds. Bob gently dropped me off on a terrace in front of the entrance. The entire scene felt like something out of Tomorrowland, a stunning fusion of technology and nature. The building seemed to be made of bluish metal, etched with intricate symbols and shimmering glass-like surfaces. There was a light, almost ethereal mist that hung in the air. It felt as if it was out of this world, yet strangely welcoming and assuring. As I reached out to knock on the massive door, it swung open silently, as if pushed by an invisible hand. A gentle voice, or rather a telepathic suggestion, guided me into a large room that seemed to hover in midair. In the center of the room was a hexagonal table with rounded edges, surrounded by 6 perfectly arranged chairs. I was invited to sit, with the instruction that the council will be with me shortly. I walked towards the nearest chair and sat down while eagerly watching the space in front of me. My heart was racing. I was nervous and excited at the same time, and I did not know what to expect. This is actually a cool part. I could hardly believe that this magical and surreal realm was within my reach. My mind began to race with all kinds of thoughts. I wondered, how many elders will I be meeting? Then it dawned on me that there are 6 chairs around the table, 5 of which were empty. I realized with a sudden thrill there must be 5 elders. It makes perfect sense. 5 was such a balanced number, perfect for offering diverse opinions and perhaps for voting if they did such a thing here on Arcturus. The symbolism of the number 5 began to stir something deep within me. I thought of its significance. It's the number of fingers on a hand, the number of Yeshua's sacred wounds, the 5 elements, earth, water, air, fire, and spirit. It's also the number of change and transformation, situated perfectly between 1 and 9. My body shivered with goosebumps as all of these connections began to unfold in my mind. I wondered for a moment if these thoughts were entirely my own, or if they were being telepathically sent to me in preparation for this profound meeting. Holy smokes, I was overwhelmed. before I could dwell on it further, my thoughts were interrupted by a swirling, luminous, misty foam that appeared in the distance, undulating through the air like a winding snake. As it drew nearer, I noticed within the mist 5 denser, brighter areas, each pulsing with a subtle, mysterious energy. As the mist approached the table, the 5 brighter centers spread out from the whole, but still remained connected, and each one gracefully settled into a chair. These were the elders. I could almost make out their faces, but it was on and off, almost like looking through a veil that obscured them, and yet I knew they were there. This veil looked like a binary matrix. It was as if the elders were encoded in a way that my sensory perception couldn't fully decipher. I could sense fragments of their essence, but the complete picture remained elusive, as if my mind wasn't equipped to translate every part of the code, because they're such high vibrational beings. Their forms were vibrating at such a high frequency that my senses couldn't fully interpret their appearance beyond the glow of their auras and the on and off flashing of the binary code. I was awestruck, completely captivated by their presence. And then, in unison, a voice, soft yet powerful, filled the room and my very being. "Welcome, child." They spoke, and the words reverberated through me, filling me with an overwhelming sense of love, kindness, and warmth. We are here to answer any questions you have. I wasn't hearing their words. I was feeling them. It felt as if their presence was not just in front of me, but within me. And I suddenly felt empowered with a sense of belonging I never felt before. Well, thank you, Ken, for getting me crying. Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate it. I'm just kidding you. I guess this is a beautiful part. It's really a beautiful part when I met the Arcturian elders. Let me tell you, there's nothing but love. There's absolutely nothing but love when you encounter the Arcturian elders. Yes, the book Carmen has, she was talking about it before mentioning her own book. Okay, before I mention my own book is the Kabbalion. This is the book that we're working on right now. We're working on the Hermetic principles. These are the 7 universal laws. There are ancient laws that come to us from ancient Egypt. These are considered occult, you guys. All of these laws are being mastered by, I'm not going to go into any kind of conspiracies, but the people who are considered to be running this world are using these exact laws. And these laws are energy, just like money. You can use money for good or you can use money for bad. You can use these laws for good and you can use them for bad. So until the reason they have been hidden from humanity is because once you master these laws, you take your power back. I'm going to say that again. Once you master these laws, you take your power back. That's why the church doesn't want you to know about them. That's why they talk about the occult as in being evil or whatever. But the only reason why it's called occult is because they don't want you to know. I'm going to put all of these books. This book, you will find it in my profile in the books. And I prepared today a few stacks of books for you guys. I'm going to create some videos and put them in there so you can see, so you can read more books. The book recommendations that I put on my profile, all of them, you can get them for free on YouTube. What I've done, guys, of course, I actually have 3 versions or 4 versions of this book, different kinds of editions, right? Yes, I'm going to post more. I have 4 stacks right now, and I'm going to take pictures, and I'm going to do the same as I did with those other ones. And I put them already in some categories. So then And I'll tell you, this helps you with your spiritual journey. This helps you heal yourself. This helps you with this. This helps you with that. So you don't, when you look at the list, you don't go, oh, which one should I do? You kind of know what to look for. So this is what I'm working on. This is what I've done today. I pulled some books out of my library, and I said, okay, what are the bases? So this is what I'm preparing to get ready for you guys. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have it done, maybe even tonight, or who knows, depending on how long we go. So anything the church warns you about is actually what you're supposed to be learning, Miracle Man. Whatever the church tells you not to do, that's what you should be doing. And that's what I've been doing. Whatever I hear that mainstream media or anything mainstream, not just media, anything mainstream, B Sharp is laughing. You're absolutely right, because we live in a freaking inverted universe. If they tell you don't do this, then go and do it. And look, by the way, the Bible is a brilliant book, but you have to understand it from an esoteric, metaphysical aspect, not literally exoteric for the masses, because the masses don't think past the tip of their nose, because they're told do this and they say okay, we do this. The point that I'm trying to make here, everybody has a mind to understand, but when you don't try your mind, when you don't fiddle with it, when you start questioning everything in your life, your mind dulls down. It's like a muscle, right? The muscle atrophies if you don't use it. And if you truly believe, and you were programmed, by the way, when I speak of the masses, I speak about them with no disrespect, because it's absolutely to no fault of their own that they are this way. Why? Because they've been indoctrinated for millennia. You see, they've been indoctrinated to believe that, listen, we live in a country, in a world where there's authority, and we're being protected, and we're being looked after, and there are laws, and the laws are working for us, and they're serving us. That's what they believe. Most people believe that. So this is where we have to start understanding that it is in our hands. We have the power to change our own reality. And by the way, when I say that, I don't speak about let's go and team up and start a revolution or God knows what. None of that. No. None of that. It's all done with the power of our mind. Yeah, I used to be the masses until 2020. I was a full-on masses. I'm not going to say which side, left or right, which wing, because here's the deal, guys. If any of you still don't see it, why do they call them wings? The left wing and the right wing are what? Two wings of the same bird, which means the bird is the one who rules. Who's paying for the wings? Who's looking after the two wings? Think about it. That's it. You have to question everything. That's right, be sharp. That's right. I was in constant fear. I'm happy and grateful to have evolved. That's right. That's one of the reasons when I left the church, because it couldn't make sense to me. You see, it just wouldn't make sense to me. How is it that I'm supposed to believe that God loves me, and yet the priest over there tells me that I'm supposed to fear God? I was already enough afraid of my mother. I grew up with fear of my mother. My whole life I was afraid of my mother. This was one of the things that I had to overcome on my own spiritual journey, on my own childhood healing traumas. She wasn't abusive or anything, like beating me up. I mean, I've got beatings, trust me, belt and whatever, but she was very judgmental, very critical. Like, it was very hard to, and she, like many parents, and I'm sure many of you grew up just like that, you were not told, I love you. You were only told, I love you, if you do something. In other words, if you perform at a certain level. Or she would only brag about me in front of other people. But then when those people were gone, she'd be like, okay, but now you got to do this and you got to do this, as if it was all conditional. So I did not have unconditional love. So I was afraid. I was afraid to get myself in trouble all my life. And here I am going to church thinking that God is almighty and is there to, bring me joy and love and beauty and all that stuff. And now I'm supposed to be afraid of him too. It made no sense to me. I was a kid. I was 14 years old. And then I go there with nail polish, red nail polish on my fingers. And then I went to buy some candles, and the nun who was selling the candles put her fingers like that at me. I was a kid, 14 years old in Romania. Look, we were different back then. It was a communist country. Like we were like little nuns ourselves, right? And she said that I was of the devil because my nails were painted in red. So I said, okay, I'm out of here. That's it. Thank you very much. For 40 years, I did not have God in my life. If you talked to me about God or Jesus, I'd be rolling my eyes and I'd be like, all right, bye. I got other things to do. And now there's nothing I talk about but God or Jesus, but from a different perspective now. From a perspective of energy, from a perspective of consciousness, from a perspective of liberating ourselves from this concept that there's something above us, that there's something that can be controlling us, which is impossible by law. Is impossible. It's not. It's mathematics. It's not possible for anything to control us. You see, but we've been programmed. We've been dulled down. We've been programmed for millennia, and now we believe. Because you see, maybe you say, but how was I programmed for millennia? Because it's generational. So your parents taught you what they knew from their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. And then, you know, everything is being just fed into you and just planted seeds after seeds after seeds. And you go, okay, this is the truth. This is the truth, right? Paint your foot any color you want. That's right. Thank you, God. There you go. How'd you get that name? Amen. That's right. Wow, that's mind-blowing. That's right. Thank you so much for the gift, you guys. Thank you, God. I will bring you joy, my daughter. God, here's the deal. I already got the joy. I already got the joy. Something as simple as red nail polish speaks in volume. Yeah, because, you know, that was a concept, you know, that red nail polish is somehow of, you know, some low moral women or whatever, you know. So yeah, your meditation process, Macedonia meditation process. I am a transcendental meditator, so I meditate daily. I used to meditate 20 minutes twice a day, but now I meditate a minimum of 50 minutes at a time, and then I meditate at least twice a day, 50 minutes at the time, and every now and then I go into very deep meditations that last 2-3 hours. And just a few weeks ago, I had a meditation, and it wasn't this one was not a sit-up. I sat for about an hour or two, but then I laid down and I remained in that state of meditation the entire night. And I had some huge streams of consciousness going through me, and I had a massive revelation that I'm yet to do a video on. But yeah, I hope I answered your question. I'm glad I left. Oh, I'm glad I left. I honestly believe that one of the reasons why I started to understand what happened, and it was so clear to me at one point, is because I've always been a rebel. That was my characteristics. I never stood up in class and put up a fight or something, but I just picked my path, you know. So the only person I never stood up to my entire life was my mother, you know. So, but I learned to overcome that too. So, yeah, angry and depressed, I feel. Yeah, that's right, be sharp. That's right. I mean, anytime you follow the masses, why? What's the satisfaction? I mean, do you guys not see that you come home from work, from beating yourself up at work, you watch TV, you listen to the same fearful programming, by the way, called programming. What is programming means? They're programming, they're telling you to your face, they're programming you. You watch television that tells a vision, whose vision? Not yours, somebody else's vision, you see? So then you watch TV, you drink beer, you eat some whatever food that God knows what they put in. You go to sleep at night, you wake up in the morning, you start all over again. There's gotta be a breakthrough. There's got to be a breakthrough. But if you are conditioned to believe that this is life, and that's what I'm saying, please, I want you guys to understand, the majority of you in here, I know you, many of you, I know you from your comments and all that. I want you to understand this. Just because you woke up, it doesn't mean that we are better than the masses. We're not. It's just we figured the programming. We were once the masses. Remember that. We were once the masses. We must understand that and show them and give them the utmost love. And that means your family, your friends, your relatives, people at work who are still stuck in the programming. The only thing you can do with them is just ask them questions. In fact, look through my videos and what if I told you that this? What if this? Just ask them to question themselves. In other words, be a farmer, plant a seed, and they will wake up. But if you try to push your agenda on them, they will resist it. And not only that they will resist you and they will resent you, but then by having this negative interaction, the content they were trying to bring into the world will be tainted. So next time they hear it from somebody else, they will go, oh, that's another crazy idea, like that crazy guy in my office or something like that. See what I'm trying to say? So don't deflate the power of the content because you know it and you try to help them. Don't try to help them. No, just plant a seed, just a seed, and let them figure it out. If anything, ask them some questions. And if they start figuring, oh, that's a good point. Like, be diplomatic, you guys. Be diplomatic. That's what I'm saying. You agree with me? How to overcome condition of religion. I fear that I'm doing something bad. I'm going to tell you right now, the number one answer is you're not doing anything bad. And by the way, the Bible, in the Bible, 365 times it's written, do not fear. Now, how can we not see this from a mile away? It's written in the Bible, the same book that they tell you that you should read, and it's the one and only book of the universe. Do not fear. In other words, there's nothing you could be doing that is a sin, as they call it, right? Or that can get you in trouble. The only thing that can happen, and that's why we learn the Hermetic principles, it's called cause and effect. One of the laws of the universe. Some people think of it as karma. The only reason why I don't like to call it karma is because the word karma has been associated with past lives. And that's another dogma. That's another thought of the matrix that is holding you into the matrix, because you believe they told you that in some religions, the Hindu and some Buddhist and some of the new thought thinkers and all that stuff, I used to believe it too, because I thought, well, I guess if so-and-so says it and she's got 50 books written and so-and-so says it and he's got 10 books written, it must be the truth, until I started to sit in meditation myself, and then I started to think, and then I started to, in other words, put two and two together like mathematics, because it's all science, you guys. It's all science. These are not theories. And I said, wait a minute, it makes no sense. And then I just sat in deep meditation, and then bang, the answer came. There is no karma. We don't have a karma. We don't carry anything with us because there is no reincarnation. I'm not going to go into this subject. If you don't agree with me, go to one of my playlists called Life, Now, and After, and you will see my ideas on that and how did I come to that conclusion. So now what happens, the karma, why we've been conditioned to believe that we have a karma. So then when we're born, we feel like, well, I already have a karma, so that's pretty bad. I can't get out of this karma. So you see how you think you're already doomed. Like, what chances do you have? You can possibly think you have if you think you're carrying this karma with you, that you're being punished for something you have no idea, and you have no idea what that is, but you just think you carry this karma. So no, we're not talking about karma here. The Kabbalion talks about the cause of law, the law of cause and effect, which happens right here, right now, which means every single thing that you do, every single thing that you think, you speak, you feel, and you act, sends out a vibration into the universe. Where today is the law of, we talk about the principle of vibration. When this vibration goes into the quantum field, it looks for a resonating frequency. In other words, something that vibrates at the same frequency, right? Two identical frequencies resonate and they collapse, they meet, they attract each other. So if I do something bad right now, say something bad, think something bad, it may not happen instantly, although I will give you some examples that you're going to laugh at. It may not happen necessarily instantly, but later on, half an hour later, a day later, a week later, it will come back to you. It's like a boomerang, you see? And that's the law of cause and effect. And it has nothing to do with anything that is a sin. In other words, why? Because you watch certain things on TV, or because you drink certain things, or because you eat meat, or because you do. No. Here, I'll give you an example. You judge someone. That's a sin. You see what I'm saying? I'll give you a perfect example. When you're on this journey and things start to happen for you faster, like your spiritual evolution accelerates. At one point in your life, your spiritual evolution starts moving a lot faster. In fact, there's a quote by Lenin, out of all people, who said, there is a time in our lives when it takes, let's just call it ages, for weeks to happen, and then we get to a time when it takes weeks for ages to happen. In other words, in a very short period of time. And I'm sure many of you are experiencing that right now in your lives. It takes such a short period of time for so many things to happen. I mean, look at your life, the past 15, 20 years, and look at your life the past 5 years. How many things have happened in the past 5 years compared to how many things have happened from 5 years to like the 20 years? You see, everything happened in slower motion, and now everything is accelerated. So I'll just give you an example. I was in my rental unit when the tenants moved out, and I was helping the cleaning lady because she was alone, and they were here a whole week and a whole month, and it was messy. So I said, let me go ahead and help this girl a little bit so she doesn't get overwhelmed. So I noticed that a bulb was burned in the master bedroom on a nightstand lamp. So I pulled a drawer for some reason in the nightstand, and I see a bulb in there. So now I'm like, oh, there's a bulb there and a bulb there. And I tried the lamp. It's not working. I removed the bulb. I put the other bulb. I'm thinking, what did they do? Did they bring a bulb in and they didn't put it in? What happened here? I turned the lamp back on, and it still doesn't turn on. And I'm like, okay, let me see. I mean, I'm an engineer. I mean, that's my logical step to do, is to pull the nightstand and to see, to make sure that the plug is in, right? And sure enough, the plug was off, right? It was unplugged. The lamp was unplugged. No wonder. I plugged it in, and both bulbs were working. So now here's the kicker. And this is called instant karma. I started to laugh, and I told the cleaning lady, oh my God, I can't believe these people. They tried to change the bulb, but they didn't look behind the nightstand to see if it was plugged or not. What was that? Judgment. Do you know what happened next? As I had both bulbs in my hand. As I am putting one of the bulbs back in to make sure they're both working, I dropped the other one. And I burned it. Because, they break it didn't break into pieces, thank God. God was very kind with me to not make a bigger mess than I already made for myself. But that's called instant karma. And I'm at that stage right now that I cannot think anything negative about anyone, because immediately something weird will happen to me. Nothing major, nothing horrible, but something that will be like, hey, and I'll be like, oh shit, I did it again. You see? And that's what I'm saying. This is the only thing that can happen to you. Okay? We're good on there? And conditioning, the deprogramming, go through my shadow work playlist. The shadow work playlist, you will find some videos that I'm big on shadow work. I'm massive on shadow work. Oh, and the other one is, I'm going to post this. But you guys are going to ask again. Don't ask anymore. Just this, I'm going to post it this evening. This book right here, Chakra Healing with Shadow Work. You want to do this. Me too, or I feel guilt. Don't feel guilty. Feeling guilty hurts you more than whatever it is that you did. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, you can do anything as long as you don't hurt anyone, as long as you don't do anything to the detriment of another person. You can do any bloody thing you want to do. You can do anything you want to do. You want to have 10 partners, have 10 partners. As long as you're not married and cheat on your husbands, and you see what I'm saying? As long as you don't hurt anyone, as long as it's with an open heart, you do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying you should go ahead and do that. I just gave an example. I don't think it is a sin. It is just the limitation of the mind. Yes, that's right. It's fear. It's fear. It's what it is. And fear has been instilled in us, you see. And fear is limiting our thinking. Living inauthentic is a sin. There is no sin. There is no sin, Brenda. Living inauthentic is basically you are lying to everyone else around you, but in fact, what you're doing is you're lying to yourself. Can you live that way? Yes, you can live that way. But is it going to take you anywhere? No. It's not going to take you to happiness, because you're never going to know who you are. You're never going to realize your true potential. I lived in a lie all my life. Why? Because I thought I needed to be in a certain way for people to like me. Because I was brought up to believe that I needed to show up in a certain way in my life, so then people don't judge me, so that people don't think of me as this or that or the other. I needed to show up, like if somebody wanted me to do something for them and maybe I didn't want to, but I couldn't say no, because if I would have said no, maybe they would have got upset with me, or maybe I would have lost their business, or God knows what. Do you know how many times I said yes when I wanted to say no? Not anymore. And that comes from self-love. The moment you decide that you are the most important person in your life, that's self-love. And that's when you start saying no. And boy, it's the most beautiful word in the world.